welcome back to my channel. My name is Casey. Today I'm going to be sharing with you two looks using the Ace Beaute Tropical Vibes palette as well as swatches. This palette retails for $38.99 on the Ace Beaute website. They say you're in for a wild ride with the Tropical Vibes palette. With 15 shades that take you from the tropics to the safari, this palette has everything you need to create a variety of looks inspired by Mother Earth herself. From bright greens to deep browns, these ultra blendable and long-lasting shades are sure to show your true colors. This palette contains 12 mattes and 3 metallics. Now, if you know me, if you've been watching me, you probably know that I'm a neutral girl, but something about greens, especially these tones, make me weak in the knees. I love a grungy green, a khaki green, an olive green, a bright chartreuse. Everything about this palette called my name, and I fell in love with it immediately. I was so excited to receive this palette and to create this video for you. However, when I sat down to create the looks, I felt stuck and sort of like an imposter, because I felt like in creating this video, the expectation would be to create these bright, beautiful, bold green looks. And in all reality, that's just not really who I am. Like I said, I'm a neutral kind of girl when it comes to my eyeshadow, and was worried that in taking a neutral approach, I wouldn't be utilizing this palette to its full potential. However, I also didn't want to make tutorials on looks that I wouldn't actually wear myself, so I was really torn. But in the end, I decided to stay true to who I am as a makeup wearer, and I stuck with more neutral looks because I wanted to show that even as a neutral eyeshadow palette lover, this palette also has a place in our collection. Also, there are many other YouTubers who have created brighter, bolder looks with this palette. I'll link some in the description box below. So if you are looking for those true bold green looks, definitely go check them out. They're going to do a much better job than I ever could. So ultimately, in the end, I think taking this more neutral approach is both fitting for me and is maybe also a hole missing in reviews with this palette. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the looks I've created as well as the beautiful swatches. I'd love to know if you picked this palette up yourself or if you've been eyeing it. Do these grungy greens make you weak in the knees as well? Leave me all your thoughts and comments below. To start, I've already primed my eyelids with my Milani eyeshadow primer. I'm going to start by taking my bronzer and running that through my crease. I'm using my Ofra Versatile Matte Bronzer. Next, dipping into the Tropical Vibes palette, I'm taking the shade Khaki and using an eyeshadow applicator, I'm going to run that all over my lids. I personally like eyeshadow applicators, but feel free to use a brush. Next, I'm taking the brush I used with my bronzer and running that through my crease once more just to ensure everything's well blended. I'm taking a small pencil brush and dipping that in the shade Palm Tree and running that along the lower half of my lower lash line and the outer half of my crease. Next, I'm taking a dark brown eyeliner. I'm using one of my Pixie gel liners, and I'm going to line the outer half of my upper lash line. I have a love-hate with the Pixie eyeliners because they're so creamy and malleable for so long that I often find them difficult to work with, but for a look like this, I want to be able to blend that liner out and really smoke out the outer corner. So for this pencil works perfect, but feel free to use whatever dark brown liner you happen to have. Next, I'm dipping a clean pencil brush into the shade Cave and dusting that right on top of the eyeliner I just laid down, again, just to smoke it out. Next, I'm curling my lashes and applying mascara. I'm using my favorite IT Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. I'm now taking my NYX Pigment Primer and placing that just on the center of both eyelids. Using my finger, I'm dipping into the shade Rainforest and placing that right on top of the primer I just laid down. I'm really spending a lot of time slowly packing it on and building up the pigment. I really want this color to pop. Next, I'm dipping a flat shader brush into the shade Khaki and dusting that on the inner and outer portions of my lid just to make sure everything's well blended. I'm now taking my Natasha Denona Glow highlighter and dusting that along my brow bone in the inner corner. I like this highlighter because it's not super intense and super blinding. It reflects a little glow, a little shimmer as you turn your head. Feel free to use any highlighter or champagne shadow you have to do this. Next, I'm taking my Maybelline Tattoo Liner in the shade White and I'm going to line my lower waterline. Lately, I've been setting my liner with an eyeshadow. I find that makes it last so much longer, so I'm dipping into my Viseart Mattes palette and using the white shade to set my liner. I stepped off camera to finish my look. I added a little bronzer, a little highlighter, and a little gloss, and we have the completed look. For the next look, I started with a tape trick again. You don't have to do this, but I really like to. I like the lift that it gives my eyes, and this look is going to be a bit more dramatic. To start, I took this mid-tone cool tone brown from my Viseart Mattes palette and applied that all over my lid as my base color. I'm then taking the shade Cave and dusting that on the outer corner of my eye. I had a vision for this look. I can't quite explain it, but the outer corner of the eye was really diffused and smoky. And so I was hoping to achieve that with this shade. But as you'll see, I had a really difficult time really blending the shade out. I think because it's just so pigmented, once it lays down, it blends out a little bit, but then it just stops moving. So I'd redip my brush and try it again, but the same thing would happen. I think I spent almost 10 minutes trying to blend the shade out and really diffuse it on the outer corner of the eye, but I just wasn't getting it to go anywhere. So I decided to take that same matte shade from a Viseart palette and work that into the shade to help things appear more blended and evened out. I think that was really the only issue I encountered with this palette so far. The shades are so pigmented, and while they do blend well, they don't really blend out. It's not really a smooth blendable formula compared to, say, the Viseart formula or the Lorac matte formula. They're very pigmented, and once you lay them out, it takes a lot of work to get the shadow to move around. This could be related to my skill or lack of, but just wanted to point it out. So while I had to give up on my initial vision, I made it work. Also, the shade Cave appears to be a deep navy blue, almost a black navy blue, just from looking at it in the palette. However, on my eyes, it appears to be more of a true black. And then when I looked at the website, it's actually a black brown. So I decided to take my Nabla Cupid's Arrow liner in the shade number 6, which is a navy blue. I used that to line my outer corner, and then I used my finger to blend it out into the shadow. I was looking everywhere for the cap head, and lo and behold, it was in my mouth the entire time. Next, I'm dipping a small pencil brush into the shade Cave and tapping that on the liner I just laid down, again, just to smoke things out. I think adding that blue liner really helped achieve the look I was going for. I just wanted a little more dimension, a little more depth in the outer corner. I also decided to line my upper waterline with the Nabla blue eyeliner. Next, I'm curling my lashes and applying mascara. I'm using my IT Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. I'm then removing the tape and applying concealer as I normally would. I also went ahead and did some bronzing. Next, with a fine pencil brush, I'm taking the shade Jungle and dusting that on my lower lash line, just on the outer third of the lower lash line. The shade is so delicious. I also went ahead and applied mascara on my lower lashes. I didn't want my lower lashes to be super dramatic, so I'm just barely kissing my lower lashes with my mascara wand. Next, I'm applying some of my NYX pigment primer on the inner corner of my eyes, and then I tapped a little bit of the shade Rainforest right on the inner corner of my eyes. I'm using a small pencil brush just to buff some of that shade out so it looks well blended, and to add a little shimmer all over in the inner portions of my eye. I'm then using my Maybelline Tattoo liner in the shade White to line my lower waterline. Next, I'm taking my bronzer and dusting that through my crease just to warm things up a bit. Lastly, I'm using my Khaki liquid liner in the shade Black to line my upper lash line. I stepped off camera and to finish up the rest of my makeup, added some highlighter and some gloss, and we have the finished look.